you should not be beating your child when
constantly.
You reach teenage
It's not just teenage, the little pit, they will say, yo, me and Danny can tell you, so when we're in school, the pit, them just get the beat them.
You cannot use the group of friends. You cannot use the group of friends you guys grew up with. You guys are weird.
So tonight's topic is corporal punishment. What do we think about it? Is it right? Is it wrong? Should we continue with it?
Should we define it first?
Sure, go ahead.
No, I mean, shouldn't you define it first?
I don't know how do you define corporal punishment?
Okay.
How do you ever talk
It's when you physically reprimand your child for wrongdoing.
Corporal punishment is the act of physically hitting a person, typically a child, beating or hitting a child, typically a person, typically a child, in the act of correcting a wrong that they have done.
Yeah, no one stands for it. Beat the pitney. Essentially, that's what it is.
Okay, so yes, we're professional people here. Yes, we go to Potter. We will use the language that a scholar speaking to explain a situation.
That's what is the language. Are you trying to, and just
but if I understand, you can't say beating the pitney because in certain places they use corporal punishment to punish person, but they don't doing. Capital punishment is when you kill the person. Corporal punishment is beating.
Okay.
And in some places they still use beating as a form of punishment for prisoners.
Well, flogging.
Not only flogging, there's many types.
Many types.
Like for rapists, they use something like a cricket bat, like a small cricket bat, and slap them on the testicles.
Okay.
What?
I don't have them, but I felt that a while ago.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So when they burn somebody's penis, is that also corporal punishment?
You burn it?
Yeah.
For what?
So you just use a rapist as an example, and I remember a video I saw one time where they caught a rapist and they stripped him down completely naked, tie him up, tie up his mouth too, and had this match like burn, like dangling in front of him. So them not really have it a burn off, them just play around with it.
That's torture, not corporal.
That's more vigilante justice.
That's torture, not corporal punishment. What corporal punishment? What makes corporal punishment? Corporal punishment is a person that has authority over the individual. So like the state over a criminal and a parent over a child.
Oh, okay.
You see, for me to come to your house and beat you up, that wouldn't be corporal punishment. That would be assault.
So if a teacher beats a child,
that's corporal punishment because the teacher has authority over the person. Right? So, say for instance, this total stranger comes and beat a child, right? That's not corporal punishment. That's assault. You don't have authority over the child.
How do you draw the line?
There's a clear distinction of authority between the person administering the corporal punishment and the person receiving it.
Because a police can come and beat a pitney, it's a person of authority.
Yeah, but there's a clear distinction. Say for instance,
police have authority over civilians.
Who?
Police.
Yes, that's true. But that person has to be committing a crime for the police to be able to use corporal punishment.
So you just have to be a person of authority.
Yes, and what gives the police authority over the person to beat them at that point is they committing a crime. They have to be a criminal, right?
It's not just
so there's nuances to it. There's nuances to it.
It's not just committing a crime. It's under reasonable suspicion that you assume that the person is engaging in some illicit actions. So there's a lot of fine tape as it borders to what is corporal punishment and what is relates to the simply abuse or assault. So it depends on the situation itself.
Very fine line. Very thin line.
Very
fine. I'm sorry.
Very fine line.
Very fine line. It came up.
You're supposed to be the smart one.
Yeah, at certain times.
Wow.
Okay, so the reason this topic was brought up now is because there was a recent story of corporal punishment being enacted on a child who wouldn't eat fast enough.
Well, I wouldn't consider it a corporal punishment. That was basically abuse.
Abuse.
Because the child died. So.
Well, that's the conversation that spun the whole ban on the corporal punishment.
Well,
thing,
that's the wrong conversation because, as we clearly say, that corporal punishment is much different from abuse. The child died.
Corrective behavior, not for killing.
Yeah.
But there's no way a child not eating fast enough would warrant a parent to hit a child hard enough and multiple times to kill that child. There is a difference between.
I know, you so pick me get looking at your face and kill like especially them in a rage.
Yeah, and that's like them. You swear them a kill you, they don't actually kill you. There is a difference. It's a level.
Yeah, but if you have a rage problem and a beat it, they might actually kill you. So you have to be careful. Not everybody should.
Yeah, but at that point, the intent is lost. Because if you look at something
but that comes back to the point: if should you be a parent? If you have a rage issue, you most likely shouldn't be a parent.
So you're not going to be a parent?
I don't have an anger issue. I can control my anger.
Yes, yes.
You see, yeah, I know I'm aggressive, but you see me control my anger.
Yeah, I'm sure that other parents.
What was the point you were making, Mikael? You're making a point there and then got cut off?
No, I'm saying if the person is gonna literally lose their temper and just go into the zone of, abuse, the intent is lost of that being a corrective method to just simply a method of emotional rampage. So it's kind of like how in law that the big difference between what is murder and what is manslaughter is the intent behind it. In law we call it actus reus, the intent to. So if for instance you accidentally hit somebody with a car, for instance, you didn't intend to kill the person, but your actions result in their death. Ergo, that would be considered manslaughter. Now, if you were somehow proven to have intent to kill this person with your vehicle because you had some squabble or whatever, it is then actually murder. So, same result, but it's different because of the intent, which is why I said that the parent in question, I think is a father. Is a father?
Yeah.
Right. So the parent in question beating the child as a means of him eating too slow or not eating enough, the intent there is not really clear, but we can be sure that the intent was not to discipline the child because, eating fast or eating slow should not be a disciplinary issue.
Yeah, why would you beat a child for not eating? Why would you beat a child for not eating to the point that you will kill the child? What's the point of forcing the child to eat?
It could be a kid. This might sound bad, but he's a stepfather, so maybe nobody want the child to be killed.
And just because in problems for the kidney.
Yep.
Which a lot of Jamaican parents are known for doing. You have issues and you take it out. You take out the belt, you take out bear in mind, and even take belt and take anything they can reach with. And with you. See, I remember I got beaten with flowers. You know the flowers them with the wire in the plastic flowers them. And that be tapped. And all them kind of things. Anything I can reach, parents can reach for. To beat you. I need to beat you.
And some parents have a type of rage, but in this situation, you say he's the stepfather. Probably he did have a hatred for the child. Probably had a problem with the fact that he was some other man's child. So
yeah, but for you to be a stepfather, you opt into being a stepfather. You know?
Huh?
You opt into being a stepfather. You know? It's a choice. So my
that
question would.
That's not from feeling away.
No, but
it could be that the power got to his head as well.
Power
or the authority.
I don't think that.
I think we're assuming too much because we don't exactly know the full scope of the relationship between.
Exactly. We're just assuming.
We're just assuming, so we can't really come to a proper conclusion because I haven't heard anything about the mother yet in the reports. Maybe I've missed that.
Didn't she also die?
No.
Okay, you see, this is what I'm talking about. We don't know the entire picture.
Why did I hear that she also got a beating until she died?
Okay.
You know, Jamaican people say that them take one story and just run with it, you know, and just say, yeah, man, I know.
We clearly don't know enough about this story to talk about it. So let's just go into corporal punishment in and of itself.
In and of itself, yeah. So, corporal punishment, in its proper form, as we said before, is a corrective method. Now, the main issue, which is why I'm saying that there's a confusion with particularly the media and other persons.
Yes, we know.
The kid was 4. Why didn't they child to that point for 4-year-old? Like, really?
Oh, Lord, okay.
Everybody else know. You legit cut off Miguel just to show that he was 4.
We actually sent it in the group. You didn't remember?
So to read the group acting.
Right.
It's better than it, apparently.
I keep forgetting that. Okay. Yes, it's a 4-year-old child. But like we said before, corporal punishment in its proper form is supposed to be a corrective method. It's not supposed to be abuse. And I think that's the main reason that the Jamaican populace is having, is that them just hear a child being beaten and just jump up and say, oh, it's corporal punishment. Oh, we need to get rid of that thing. Murder. Yeah, man, murder. Justice. We want justice. You know, the regular thing. But they don't really.
You know what's funny about it? When you're not the person in the situation, when you're an outsider looking in, you can vouch for the person being beaten. Because you remember the days when you were little and your parents used to beat you. But when it becomes you being the insider looking out, you're like, oh, but I don't understand how much trouble I pick me, I give me, and forget beaten and this and that.
No,
it's not.
It's not even that. This reminds me of a case where a friend of mine showed me a video. Now, this is why I said I'm very careful when it comes on to seeing certain media. So he showed me a video about a teacher and a student being a tussle. This is somewhere in the States, by the way. Being in some kind of physical interaction, you know, some kind of fight. And then he's like, how the teacher I beat up the pitney, this and that. I mean, I said, but you don't know the full scope of the story. It wasn't until a week passed that we actually got the full video. And I realized that it was actually the student who instigated the physical interaction with the teacher. And the teacher was actually defending himself. But, you know, because how people cut videos and such, it looks as if, you know, this teacher who's supposed to be responsible and model for the student, blah, 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 is abusing his power and abusing this child physically and blah, blah. But again...
because that feels more...
Right, there is more to the story. So you have to be very careful with these things. Because we don't know the entire situation, which is why we can just focus on corporal punishment. And even going as far as that, if we were to explain to somebody, all right, corporal punishment within itself, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just who you're going to use it for and under the conditions. So like, the example we use with the police. The police can only use that as a means to control, say, a suspect if they appear to be
violent,
right? For the sake of the public interest.
Different story. I should listen in. Yes, I know, but that's done a long time. It's like trying to do your homework while you're in a class.
She do her homework in a class. Oh gosh, she's still reading?
Yes, she is.
Oh Lord.
No, a child. This might sound bad, and I really don't care, but I think you should beat a child for one very simple reason. A young child does not have the ability to understand consequences. Right? Let me finish. They will be able to, once they see something and do it, they don't understand how it might negatively affect anybody else.
They don't understand the gravity of the action in question.
They also lack a lot of empathy, right? We do something to someone and not care that they do something to that person because it does affect them. They are not of the age where they can understand these concepts. These are abstract to them and they don't understand it. They will, however, understand pain.
They will remember pain.
They will remember pain. If a child does something and you hit the child, they remember doing this equal pain. They will not do it.
Some of them continue doing it.
Yeah, I know some of them.
Some of them are gonna be stubborn. We get that, but let's be. No, I'm saying, let's be honest. When you were smaller, you know that there are certain items in the house you didn't touch because your mother would literally give you a good handling. And it wasn't until you got older that you realized that, okay, my mother, she bought these things, these are, say, fragile plates, saucers, that kind of thing. This is her little special stuff. So she didn't want them to be damaged by my very small, very frail hands. But again, it takes time for you to develop this level of understanding and empathy, like Leah's mentioning. But a good way to circumvent that is having a mental reminder of pain. So, all right, how many persons when you were growing up? You should be a conventional Jamaican growing up. You grew up and your parents told you that, all right, you can go outside, but these are the limits or the bounds to which you can play. You can't go on the roadside. You can't go down the road. You can't. Anybody?
Yeah.
Right. And if you took yourself and, you know, let me be Christopher Columbus. Let me be curious. Let me try to discover a new world. And you take yourself and say you're going down the road. You know when you come back where you get, right?
Yeah.
You mean that's if you get caught?
You've gotten caught, I'm pretty sure.
Not all the time.
No. Miguel, if you listen to Danny and El's stories,
no,
these
they're special upbringing. Yeah, man. Them sneaky. Them very sneaky. We've proven this already.
Okay.
You get me if you think so never do.
Exactly.
And we deserve it.
Yeah, but you know why you were hiding though.
I mean, if it deserve it, the kind of beating on the get.
Okay. No, but the point is, you snuck around because you knew of the consequences, right?
You know what's funny? As you talk about don't go down the road or else whatever happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I learned to ride my bicycle, I had my entire street as a jurisdiction. So I'm not supposed to go around a corner unless I go to the shop.
Yeah, man, that
which
was
a little bit further down. So one day I ride the bicycle, I'm saying, no, I'm going to go up on the road where they're behind me. So I'm approaching the corner, right? I'm going to go around there on a speed. I said, oh, this is not so bad. I can't handle myself. So neither they are basking at the joy of going out of bounds. Turning the bicycle now, fast, me a pedal to come back on my road. And I don't know how in a God's name, I never hear this trucker come behind me.
That's mercy.
Straight in the truck, my arm was head up. You see, when the truck passed, I realized that, okay, my soul never left my body. I'm still on earth. At the fastest, my pedal back to my yard. I'm just go park the bicycle and go sit down in my room.
Yeah, man. You sit down for a while and reflect.
So, you know, so my mother come back here and ask me how I done ride so quick for the day, because I think I did just come out of the house. I'm just like, I'm not feeling it today.
Okay. Serves you right. Going out of bounds. Serve you right. Going out of bounds. The one time you go out of bounds, that happened to you. Serve you right. And I feel sorry for you. Serve you bloody right.
Okay.
And your parents that live by that, so, you know, they say if you tell the fitness don't go near the stove and the fitness still go near the stove. I've heard a parent that say, all right, but if you talk to him,
go on. Touch the stove.
Go on. And when you get the bun, you know, so you're not going near the stove again.
Yes, and that is the pain that reminds them not to do it again.
Because you're there with the child and tell him, look, don't go near the stove, you'll get burned. Don't go near the stove, you're going to get burned. You say it over and over again.
Burn you?
No, that's abuse.
Right, that's abuse.
Come on.
Sorry. Repeat that?
What if the parent burn you?
Why are your mind going there, Danny?
Because that's what happened.
Those are abuse.
You know, I'm very worried that these are the females of the group, so they're supposed to be more motherly and loving. We're the ones that have to share concern for the children. I'm worried too.
I didn't go that far.
Have you ever had a child before?
No, but you said
Okay.
I would prefer to use manipulation rather than corporal punishment.
Okay.
Like before, corporal punishment is like.
So you're gonna use manipulation for a 2-year-old child?
I'm going to use conditioning.
You're gonna use conditioning. Isn't beating a child conditioning?
Yeah, but I use different forms.
Oh.
They're different forms.
Explain. No, I want to hear this one. Please explain your conditioning methods. We're listening.
As you know, by now, I think all of us have, I don't know if it's Pavlov's conditioning or something like that.
Pavlov.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
With the dog and the bell.
The salivation, yeah. But skip.
So,
how are you going to get to your conditioning now?
Yolande, explain that to me now, because some people not going to know we're not that well.
All right, Pavlov conditioning is just simply ringing a bell at a certain meal time. And then at one point, once he rings the bell, even when there's no food, the dog salivate because they anticipate food.
So you pair the food with the bell, the sound of the bell. So like anytime he hears the bell, he gets the food. So the point is that anytime you stop feeding the food, but you ring the bell, he's going to automatically salivate. So in a female, bell ring, food a come.
That sounds like the Jamaican version of cats. Anytime them hear plate or skirt, them run come at the kitchen door.
Yes, because they know say when they hear certain things, they're going to expect a certain response.
Okay, so going back to your conditioning now, real quick. How are you gonna do it?
It's the same thing with punishment, pretty much. When we do corporal punishment, you do an action, you get the beating feet. So you know, say if you don't do the action, you're not get the beating.
But you just said you're not gonna use the beating.
Okay, so what is your conditioning?
My conditioning, there are other different ways that you can do it. You can use a reward.
Which is what we're asking you. Tell us.
I'm telling you, I'm getting to it. So let me see now. With my
Let me help you out, El. What about timeouts?
In that Jamaican. Wait. Stop. Come again. Timeout. I heard this on the radio. That and grounding. I'm like, are you people serious? How are you gonna ground? How are you gonna ground a child? You know, you have a case where somebody said, "Oh, you have other means of disciplining the child. You have grounding the child." I'm like, how are you gonna ground a child? Weird in Jamaica? Because grounding the child means you're gonna either put them somewhere or take something from them. A lot of these kids don't have a lot to take away anyway. We're talking kids middle, low poverty class. So, I mean, explain to me how you're going to grow on a child. What are you going to take away? His pencil? His rock?
Because punishment works in a way where it can be as forgiving.
No, explain how you go to punishment.
Can I talk? I'm getting to it.
Okay.
Because it's a case where you can take away something or give them something. Beating is a form of you beat them, you're giving them something. But you cannot grounding is a form when you take away their time. So for a child, to punish a child, and what most persons are doing nowadays, they're trying to figure out something that the child likes and take away. So whether it's a tablet or even personal time, grounding, whatever it is, they take it away. And there's another one when you reward them. So in a way, when you expect them to behave a certain way, they get a reward. There's a reward system, and you have that kind of takeaway system, depending on the child. So
okay. Continue.
So, I'm trying to think about something here. Yeah, like when you have those award ceremonies at work. So you are the top sales representative. And you know, say, all right, if you get the most sales, you get a reward or you get a vacation or something. Persons are going to be more inclined to be towards the sales, just to get the reward. Now, grounding, I don't know if grounding really works with Jamaicans. I'm not really believing in that because as an introvert, I would prefer grounding, not lie. But most persons nowadays are thinking, all right, you can use a reward system for the child. If the child does something bad, give me an example of a child does something bad. Michelle, something more that piss me off?
I have something to say after this.
Yeah.
I have something too.
Give me an example of something a child would do that piss me off.
Break a vase or something.
What? Break a vase?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Or keep $20 out of your purse.
No,
I want to see how you're gonna grow that one.
They would have to work back that $50. Breaking a vase, no, that one they would have to take some time, especially if it's something expensive. They would either have to work back to buy back the vase or work back to give them back my $50. You have to learn because we learn from experiences. And once we learn from it, like you almost get licked on one time, you learn, say, all right, I'm not going to the corner. I'm not going to break the vase again because if I break it, If I go pay for it out of my pocket, I mean, I have the money. I mean, I work again in a daddy shop. So then go give me a whole heap of work for just because $50 to buy back the vase. You understand what I'm trying to say, or I'm not make it myself clear?
I want to say something, and I know that Leo is burning to say something as well, but I want to just add.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to add my thing real quick. So you're saying you're going to take something from the child. What is, again, my point again, if it's a case where the child doesn't have a lot to take away in the first place, we're talking a very poor family, very poor standing. How are you going to discipline that child?
There must be something that child likes.
The child has nothing.
So
the child has nothing.
The child
has nothing.
The child has no clothes.
We're going to take away clothes, make him naked.
TV. The child like hang out with them friends.
There's no TV.
Like a specific food.
What kind of food? When it's literally the beer. We're talking bare minimum here. We're talking the poorest of the poor.
All right, no dinner for them then.
You're going to starve the child who's the poorest of the poor? That is abuse.
That's not abuse.
It
yes,
is. If you're the poorest, if you're the poorest of the poorest, food.
Danny, are you okay?
No, Leo, you do realize that for some reason we sound like the better parents?
Yes, we do.
My goodness.
There is something definitely that the child likes.
Okay.
And the child likes phrases. The child
I said the child has nothing. What are you going to take away from the child?
Hey.
You can take or you can give, depending.
Okay.
You can't give. There's nothing to give.
It doesn't always have to be tangible.
All right, Mikhail, I'm sorry. I can't wait no more.
Yeah, go ahead.
First thing, what you're saying is bull. Why the reward system? Why should I reward a child to do something they should be doing?
Exactly.
That will only grow. That will only bring that child to believe that
they're privileged.
The thing that they're doing should be rewarded. This breeds entitled.
You don't want that.
And beating can breed aggression in children. So everything has its pros and cons.
So were you aggression? Hold on. Do you consider the set of us aggressive people? Because I'm pretty sure we're all beaten as children.
You really ask them on this line if they're not aggressive? One of them are pretty much everything will come out of your mind abuse.
But she get the least beaten, funny enough, you know, out of all the four of us.
I know I'm aggressive, but as a child I was pretty soft. I became aggressive because I scared it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the beating.
Didn't they torment you in Kenya?
No, they did not.
No. Discipline. No.
Yes, but I was already aggressive by then. Okay. Got my aggressive. First thing. Second point. So I will not reward a child for mediocrity. Like, if I'm giving a child a reward, they have to earn that. I'm not giving them a reward
just because.
Just doing something they should have done. There's too much entitled in the world already. Second, taking something away from the child. Human beings are the most adaptable creatures in this
They'll
planet.
live without it.
They will live without it. We have seen people that have gone to bare minimum nothing and survive it. We are able to adapt. You taking something from a child, enough time that child will go without it.
That's
or find something better.
Sometimes
no, you got to talk. You got to talk.
Let the man finish his point. Let the man finish his point.
Okay, Jesus.
So taking something away from a child or something like that, the child will adapt to it. And yes, they may not have empathy, but children are smart. They will learn to cope with it.
Or like I said, find something better.
Pain is a thing that human beings have developed, have evolved with. We try to avoid it as best as possible. Any human being that doesn't try to avoid pain, there's something mental wrong with that person. Eating is one of the best punishments out there because we are developed to avoid pain as best as possible.
The beating was for you?
Huh? Of course it did.
You at one point your parents stopped beating you and say just mash up all everything?
What are you talking about? You make it seem like them beat them again, going on rage and beat, mash up everything.
No, okay. At one point your parents just decided to stop beating.
Because I became stronger than them.
So then what's the point of beating you?
No, you don't understand.
The point of
I was a teenager at that point. Beating on a teenager does not really work.
Mm-hmm.
You are required to beat the child from their young. By the time they reach preteen and teenager, they are already conditioned to follow orders and do the right thing. That's necessary beating. Beating will not work forever. That's we understand that.
But beating is not the only form. There are other things you can use for punishment, and that's what people are trying to say.
And I understand that. I understand that. But what they're trying to say is that we should not beat at all, and that is wrong.
It's impractical.
There's other form of punishment that we can use, and that's right. We shouldn't beat all the time. There's many forms of ways we can discipline a child, but we should beat them regardless. These should be one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal as a parent disciplining your child. Okay. You can use creative ways. You can use creative ways to discipline a child. Fine.
Okay, give me creative ways to discipline a child. Because I'm like,
calm down. You can use creative ways to discipline a child, but you should always have beating there. If it's rude enough, you should beat them.
But there are some children when you beat them, it doesn't mean nothing to them. Then just want what they do.
Because those
feel the pain and then why? Okay.
Because those
children are usually older.
Those children were not raised properly. There's a difference between a child that was not raised properly and a child that was raised properly.
Okay, what do you think a child fears more, the beating or the fear of beating?
Repeat that?
What do you think most children, when they grow up with a certain level of discipline, what they fear the most? Is it the beating itself or the fear or anticipation of being beaten?
Depends on the child. Some child will say, they don't want no beating. Some child say, well, they can't beat me as much as they want. It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, that's me.
No, I'm talking about a child who has been disciplined from early on, and they understand that their actions there are consequences attached to it. So they do something, and they know that their parents know, but the parents don't reach home yet. So they're literally counting down the clock to when the parents arrive.
It actually depends on the age of the child. As I said, younger children they don't understand creative abstract concepts. So the younger they are, the more they will fear the beating.
Mm-hmm.
But as they grow older, they will fear disappointing their parents.
True.
Yeah. So you keep talking when you're talking about children that were not raised properly. Like if you raise a child properly, by the time they reach a preteen teenager,
you don't have to beat them anymore.
Beat them as much.
But everybody beats in the West for.
Yeah.
You can't beat a child and the child just like, okay.
What point they're not getting beaten is the only thing. You're required to raise a child properly. There's no substitute for raising a child properly. Beating will not fix that. I agree with that. You should raise a child properly, but you should also beat your child when they're wrong, when they're doing something wrong. So they can use other creative ways of disciplining a child, but you should beat your child. So I'm not against using other form of discipline, But I'm against is removing beating a child
completely
from the arsenal altogether.
Okay, I understand. I think it's like the same arsenal because there are other persons like the same. We were talking about the same incident today. People have nothing in them arsenal and just drop it over and over into a point where the child reaches to a
that man should not be a parent. I'm using that one person.
But then again,
using that one person, like the person that will do that are minute. So you saying that it's like saying a police.
It still happens. Even if it's not, you still have parents beating their children to the point that they're hospitalized or them cut up or something.
But that's not. So you saying that it's like a king to saying a police shouldn't have a gun because they might kill somebody. Right? I understand what you're saying, but removing that across the board, just because removing that across the board
for one instance.
For the one instance or the 100 instance that it might happen, right? So you're moving a very good tool because one person might abuse it.
And then you don't realize that once you remove that tool,
one person does not make a society. The society is not perfect. But what we can do is to give the best good for the entire society. We can't change something that works just because someone or a small group of people might abuse it.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also other things that can be used.
I know that there's other things that can be used.
He did agree with you on that.
What are you going to say?
Always be the only thing in the arsenal, the only thing to be drawn for.
He never said that.
When did I say that?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that you did say that there are other things in the arsenal. But it sounds like it's the main thing that people draft, and that's the truth. A lot of persons will just draft for that first. Then can't bother, so then just take up something and lift it down with it. And a lot of truth before most Jamaicans are like that. Anything they can grab for that they lick you with.
Yeah, but it goes back to the point that Leo made, that you wouldn't have to draw for it as frequent as the other persons if you actually started to raise your children properly in the first place. That's the key issue. That's the main problem.
And this is coming back to our argument we have where we should have something to train to test if a person is qualified to be a parent.
But everybody's going to do that.
I don't know.
The likelihood of that happening is very nil.
I know. So we have a discussion, maybe none and nil, because what's going to actually happen is that the things that we might need to do to make sure that being a parent is successful in Jamaica, most likely not going to get done because it's not going to be popular.
People not gonna like it.
We're going to have to actually govern the people right to have a child, and most people not going to like that.
I have a question. All right. So Mikhail was saying certain things gonna happen if you did raise the child properly, right?
Yeah.
What if you have an angel of a child just growing up nicely? Don't give no trouble other than for things that them just curious about, and you have to educate them, so don't do certain things or that might happen to you. And then they go out to socialize with other people their age or in the same age group. And one picnic teach them something that they shouldn't do, and them do it and get in a trouble. Are you going to carry out corporal punishment still because them did that one thing wrong because they were influenced by somebody else? Or are you going to say, well, this child is usually a goody two-shoe, so I understand, say, they were just badly influenced?
I have two things to say about that.
The first thing you draw for in a case like that.
Hold on. I have two things to say about that.
What the child did. Because that's not a broad thing.
Yeah.
You have to tell us what the child did. Right? In some instances, they can probably just discuss with the child and let them know what they did wrong. A punishment is still needed, right? But it depends on what the child did. So say for instance, the touch a girl inappropriately, right? You're going to need a very serious discussion to explain why that's inappropriate with the child.
There must be a consequence attached to it.
There must be a consequence. Of course, there's going to be a consequence attached to it, right? So say the child smash a car window or be disrespectful to a parent, right? Of course, we're going to have a conversation with the child after, but that's after the belt is taken out. So it doesn't matter if that child is influenced by outside factors, because most times, if a child does something wrong within the household or seen wrong by the family, it's an outside factor influence them. So it doesn't matter if an outside factor influence them, they should be punished. And then, if it's a case where a conversation is needed, then a conversation is had.
Here's a point that a lot of parents don't even realize, that when it comes on to child rearing, it is basically an ongoing process. So even though you have a case where the child grows up and, they're, as I said, they're prim and proper, they've well behaved, they've never given any trouble, that kind of thing. They make that one error, you must zone in on that error very quickly, because that's just one step that can go into a very slippery slope. And the next thing you know, the child that was well primed and proper just by one action, then another action, then another action, if left unattended to. So you have an instance where, okay, you can comment on the situation depending on what scenario you use. That, all right, the parent may not have inferred enough discussion with the child, let them know that, all right, they need to think for themselves instead of adopting a somewhat group culture that they know is wrong. Maybe certain morals need to be discussed. For example, if it's a boy, it's okay, you should be a gentleman. There are certain things you shouldn't do with the female. You shouldn't touch them unnecessarily. You have to be careful with hugs because maybe they're not into that kind of thing. But mainly,
Wait, with what? Hugs?
No, man, hugs can be a problem,
Well, somebody never teach you that.
Yeah, that's
You know the funny thing? You know the funny thing about that? The reason why I was that way is that back at my school, you could not do that on campus, any at all. And I'm talking even up to sixth form. We could not do this in public. It was one of the weirdest rules that we had. So that was.
And here you are, big hugger.
Hey, I was free. I was in cuffs and chains, and they let me free. I'm like, I can hug girls? Oh, yeah. It was great. But again, the point is that if you're a case where that child is, a proper child, a child to be very proud of, because they've been, behaving themselves this far, you have to have a sit down with the child, like Leo said. But you have to move on it quickly.
For me, corporal punishment is like a repeat offender kind of a punishment.
No, not really.
You child, you do other things, and it's like, I can't bother with you no more, man, go to your backside. For me, I wouldn't give that child that's an angel for most of their life corporal punishment. Because if they were good behaving for most of their life and then follow crowd, you can easily just explain saying, you see what happens when you follow crowd. Yes, then destroy property. You must have to find a way to make it up. Because even when you beat them, you still expect an apology. Them to get apology to whoever they disrespect. For me personally, I wouldn't give that child that was an angel corporal punishment. Corporal punishment for me would have to be for somebody who's a repeat offender. I'm chat to you, I'm going to get different. But we put other things in the course, in the arsenal, and you still turn out bad, then you have to.
And that's what a lot of parents do wrong. They try to negotiate with the child, which is something that you should not do as a parent. To tell them that this is what you should do, this is why you shouldn't do this thing. And then the last resort is a beating. No, you're doing it in reverse. That's not how it should be. Beat them first, and then you have that discussion. Because again, like we said, they're going to remember the beating, and because you attach that beating with a discussion afterwards, they're going to remember the discussion as well. So not just remember the beating, which is why we said that you have to use the both of them in tandem. Which is why I said, if it's a case where the child has never committed an offense that has disrespected themselves or your family name or whatever, you need to get in on it real quick. Because if you literally allow it to simmer, settle, and then you guys slowly move on with this discussion, there is a higher chance that it will happen again. If you come on it hard and strong and say you will, you have that discussion, you need to tell a child, you will never do this.
I've never heard a child, you beat the child one time and then good. There's always a repeat, then there's something.
No, but the situation that we're talking about is that child that has never committed an offense, meaning that hopefully this is that child that understands decision-making skills at their age, so they know what they should and should not do. That's what we're talking about. So, like I said, in that case, you can't give, you know the adage, if you give somebody an inch, then take a mile. As good as decent as a person is, which is have to be very careful. So you can't play around with these things. Because the child is going to, okay, here's how memory is funny when it comes on the children. A child would know that what they did was wrong, but if they have a flashback to say, man, I really messed up in a butt. Oof, I got away with it, man. My parents didn't do anything about it. That sounds like a clothing kind of thing. You're boasting like, I got away with that. And because you're so confident you got away with it, like, I can probably get away with it again. You don't want that. You want them to flash back like, man, when I messed up, Dad whooped my ass. I ain't never doing that shit again. You have to think about these things. This is the long-term ramifications. That if you delay and if you spend too much time discussing why it's wrong, you're gonna have a lot of problems. So I say a lot of Jamaican parents do it the wrong way. How many baby mothers, single mothers, sorry, do you know that come on TV and say, after them child get gunned down by the police because they're in a gang or whatever, say, me I talked to him for years, me tell him to stop, do this and you understand?
Them still say that. Most mothers me hear these days talk about, it's a good boy, not trouble nobody.
They still beat them growing up same way and they're still bad.
They never beat them enough.
Never beat them enough. That's the problem.
Here's the thing with single mothers and boy picnic, right? When the boy picnic goes on a look badness, they allow them and say that them are boys, I just boy thing them are
making good.
Them only beat them. You notice a lot of these boys don't disrespect their mothers. these gang members, they don't disrespect the mother. Cause the mother will beat them if they disrespect them or do anything wrong to them. But when they do it to other people, them allow
business.
them.
Yeah, man. That's true something. Mommy cool. Mommy cool.
Me hang out with a group of boys in a gang.
Yeah, dead.
My mother come and beat me and all of them. That happened once.
You see? That's what I'm talking about. Beat first, then discuss that, so you mess up, right? You're not going to do it again, right? Okay, good. Let's move on. Now, I'm telling you, a lot of parents do the reverse, and that's not the way you're supposed to do it.
And Elle is talking about, wouldn't use corporal punishment first, because she's not going to use that, or she's going to be the child.
Yeah, but she's going to say, wait till the father come home.
Yeah, me going to be the child.
Oh, boy.
First in the arsenal.
Oh, don't worry, going to be the first in mine. They don't worry. So me beat them first and you beat them last.
Much no, so you get that because at some point their person.
Yes, at some point.
They're like, I'm not adults. For them, so just take the beat and go on. It's only gonna last a little while.
Yes.
That's true.
You should not be beating your child when
constantly.
You reach teenage age.
It's not just teenage. A little pit. They will say, yo, me and Danny can't tell this. So when we're in school, the pit them just get the beat.
You cannot use the group of friends. You cannot use the group of friends you guys grew up with. You guys are weird. You guys are weird.
Friends that are like that, then take the beating, then brush you up,
well,
and then couple days no, then come back.
You have to remember that you...
Not like a little piece of papa, a little beating. Sorry.
Remember, you're not the conventional Jamaican.
And I'm telling you, there are people that get beaten. Why pick me especially? Then get beaten, then take the beating, then blow it off because the pain only lasts for a little while.
Yeah, that means you overdo it. That means that's overdone.
And they say beat them to the point of death, and then you go reach over into the abuse thing. So they would just blow it off and go and do their business same way. Beating and beating.
You want to do a interesting experiment?
What?
Let's have 2 children, right?
You're gonna beat one and not beat the other.
You're going to have resentment.
Oh no! I'm not gonna say beat one and not beat the other. Me discipline one and you discipline the other.
I see which one come out better.
I
like that.
We can call it a 30-year experiment. I just see how them come out.
Yeah, man. Which one is more successful than the other?
Let's do it like that.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Agree.
Okay, people, see you back in 30 years.
All right. That's 2051. But I think the important thing that we need to actually we can agree on, I think, all 4 of us, is that there's a distinct difference to what occurred with the young boy. That is literally abuse, and it is in no way, shape, or form corporal punishment.
Yeah. And we advise, we are not condoning abusing a child.
We're never
not condoning beating a child. If they need hospitalization, beating a child have a permanent injury, beating a child close to death. We are not condoning that. We agree that a child should be beaten. Well, me and Michael agree that.
Yes, you can beat your child.
You sure?
But I'm not sure if it works for everyone because it has its own time. Just like on the ready to say the other things, the reward system and the grounding not going to really work. Beating itself also has the same.
No, but I think one thing
you keep forgetting one part of the conversation. Me and Miguel keep saying we're not saying beat the child alone. We have never said that. Stop focusing on that one point. We said beat the child.
Sure. Also, I think there's a confusion too when it comes down to the discussion, is that you're forgetting the fact that the disciplining is a result of occurrences, but you can literally reduce these occurrences if you raise your child in a particular way. Which is why we go back to the example where you have a child who's prim and proper and grew up right. More than likely, that parent took a lot of meticulous detail when it comes to that child rearing. So the child did not see the need to engage in certain activities because of how they were raised.
Wait, what do you mean by raise right? What are the steps exactly?
Some people.
And then there's the arguments of nature versus nurture. Oh. You have raising right, but then you have.
Don't tell me one of the person believe that the child is going to be born just evil. Wait. Like, if that's the case, I'm leaving this discussion, because that's just ridiculous.
Again, never hear that one there.
No, don't tell me that you're one of those persons believe that a child can be born evil based on their heritage.
I just believe certain personality types are difficult to deal with.
Okay.
Suppose there is a child right, as in a say, because I don't understand the definition of that. But you beat them every now and then for what them do. Like, for example, I have an uncle he is the only surviving male in his family. So I guess a lot of expectations were placed on him to like carry on the family name and act a certain way. Sisters were decent, but him always I get trouble and him always I get beaten feet, and the beating never nice either. But that's not to say that him did I get a worse beating than his sister then, because everybody get like a fine ass whooping when them do something wrong. So this man grew up for still at some fat when not enough to do. And then get arrested several times. So that simply means that the corporal punishment and whatever else they did raising him never works. So in a situation like that, no.
That is exactly what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying. That's the confusion. A lot of people are saying that the child's determining factor is going to be if they're beaten or not. We say it's a factor, but we say it's not the be-all, end-all. If you literally raise a child, and by raising a child, meaning that, and here's the problem that people don't realize, the daily practices that you plan out for the child, and their interaction with both you as a parent, and say if there are other similar other family members, those are the things that people need to zone in on when it comes out to parenting. So you'll have an instance where you're raising a child, and it's just let's say it's you, your husband, and say once in a while, one of your parents show up, right? So the child is going to interact with the grandparents, the parents, and a brother or sister, right? Everybody with me, or?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is in these instances, these daily activities, that you need to observe the child and see how they interact with these different persons, so that you can step in. For instance, let's say it's one of the instances where they're playing a bit too rough and one of the sibling got juke in their eye. You need other parents stepping and saying, no, that's bad, you shouldn't be doing that, that's too rough. You can still play with them, but you can't do it now, so I'm going to have to put you on a little time out by yourself. So that's one instance. You don't have to beat the child then. You just separate the child, you discuss that, and you move on. Or you give him a little slap on the hand if you want to add anything physical to that as a remembrance. But you can't just count on beating alone. That's like...
No, I didn't get beating alone. There were discussions.
No, but the example that you're using with the person, do you know exactly what morals or how he was raised with? No, not what he did. What did his parents do to teach him? How did they teach him? That's the main thing.
From what we know, is mainly the sister them examples in follow. So if him sister them do something wrong and then get beaten for it, he would have gone like, all right, I'm not to do the same thing. But him did just have a way about him where he might quell for a while. Like, you know the example where some parents beat the ground and pretend that them a beat the child and child will afraid because them a say if the ground I get beaten that hard, me no want to get the beaten.
That's ridiculous. But anyway.
You've never seen that?
No, I've heard about it, but to me it's just a ridiculous concept. But continue.
Movies when it's Michael, Jacob Black. But his real name is Shambada.
Continue.
What?
Am I the only one to know that Louis said one?
Don't beat him too hard. Don't beat him, kill him, just take him down, teacher.
No, I beat him. That was not in the poem. No, the poem said I beat him too hard, teacher. If you rude and start to rain.
Beat one of the pitney. Yeah, I remember that poem. Again, that is ridiculous, but anyway.
What
beat another child to make him calm down. What
You see,
child, man? I'm beating the next child. That poor child.
you see my point? Is your point? This is a form of porch that has survived and used as a template for parenting. You see how bad that is? You're gonna beat another child for the other child's action.
More than sickly. You can't beat that because if you get even one little piece of it, that's abuse. That's a lot of harm to him backside.
That poem was always ridiculous in my mind. I'm sorry.
No, but you have children that are sickly, but they're rude. And you can't beat them hard. So what are you doing in a case like that?
Yeah, but again, my point. How they're not just born rude, how they end up rude. That's what I'm saying, you know. Something went wrong in the rearing of the child, particularly in the early stages, like say from let me say from birth to say maybe 3 to 4 years. That's it. That's the stage where you're supposed to start to put in some daily moral lessons for the child, and it's very small things. Because just like if you want to change, say, your diet or your exercise routine, you have to make small changes to your life so that you can see that change on a larger scale because it becomes a habit. So again, if the child has a tendency of being rude, it had to have been developed from somewhere, and usually this is from the home, whether because of absence of discipline or a simply omission of any means of correcting any way, shape, or form. Something went wrong in the early stage of the child's rearing. Because yeah, go ahead.
You know, when the child was toddler and about the rude things, they say, oh, them
so cute. Yes. That nonsense.
Exactly. There was an incident where I was at a restaurant and a toddler walking up, hanging out at people, hitting people. And everybody was like, oh,
so cute. Yeah, that nonsense.
Really?
Then she came to me and hit me. And I'm going to after me. I'm going to pull on my mom, look for her, and say, do that again. And she ran to a church. And she ran to her mother afraid. And the mother said, so we say a lie. So basically the mother said, like the first time she's responding like that. But the way the mother responding to her when she was eating people, it seems that she's not disciplining her.
You know, something like that happened to me at a barber shop where I was getting up my hair cut.
I swear, if we do a DNA, it would have the same DNA.
No, like legit. Like the kid can't be more than 7, 8. And this child I got to take himself literally hit me in my shoulder, you know. So I knock him back, and then him gonna run to him father. Then him father go run to him mother.
Yeah,
me knock him back, cause he must sit down right beside me, you know. And he one of them youth they were going like him bad, you know. So him at the seat, that's the problem what I'm saying. If you have a case where you're growing up, your child is growing up, and they feel like they can attack an adult, there's something that went wrong. So that child go shove me now. And me shove him back. You know, my youth run, because at the time his mother must have gone to the salon section of the barber shop. So my youth run and gone and say about, this a man, Icky man, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then when the mother comes to me and say, well, I moved because your son tried and hit me. So I think you need to have a discussion with him. I say, sir, I'm glad you told, no, hold on. Says, sir, I'm glad you told me that, you know, because if a case where you were the one who initiated this, you know, you never have a problem. I say, I'm sure you would. But you need to talk to your child. I'm like, seriously, this child could not be any older than say 7, 8. But this is their attitude towards the adult. The woman says that case where me hit the child first, I would have a problem.
Oh.
Which is why
even if the child was the one doing something wrong.
That's what I'm saying. That's how ridiculous it is.
I'm not sorry. But I hit the child, and then when the mother comes to talk to me, I'll probably hit she too.
No, man, no, because like seriously, you are a child. You have there's no reason for you to act this way towards an adult. Worse yet, if your parents weren't around, you are a small, defenseless child. I am an adult. I can hurt you. And that is one of the big issues that we have as parents, because the children believe that they are
adults.
They are adults.
Yeah, and them are the same size.
No, me and not the same size.
That's what them feel nowadays, because they're in a big people argument. When parents have them arguments or talk discussion,
and this is what it comes back.
This is why I said the parenting is the problem. Sorry.
Yeah, when you have people, parents have them big discussion, they pick them each up underneath them arm and them attack. Sometimes they involve them in them kind of conversation, them big conversation when me and him probably never know about we are 13, 16 and so. Them have a little boy pick them, a little girl pick them all in
a big man discussion.
I do big people movements and so on. So yes, there is a problem with how some of us some children are being raised. When I say it's the majority or something, but there is a lot of cohesion within certain other households.
Which is exactly my point. So the corporal punishment is not really per se the issue, but a lot of parents use it as a means to try and fix something that has already gone wrong. You already failed in raising the child, as I said, with the proper daily moral practices that you're supposed to do. Same example with Leo. The baby long out in tongue. The first instance that child did that, the mother should have doubled down and said, never you do that again. That's rude. Because how does a child know that art? Because I had two instances where I was around when children were like in my household. And you have a case where the child is literally going to piss when they feel like and defecate when they feel like. And usually, especially if it's a boy, they aim very well. I'm so glad he didn't catch me. So you have an instance where you're raising a child. But what point do you think the child realizes that the feces or whatever, that it's nasty? They don't realize it unless you're the kind of parent that say, nah, nasty. And then that daily, but that is conditioning. That is you inferring to the child that, all right, what you're excreting is disgusting. And then when you get older now as an individual, you're like, oh, yeah, that's not good stuff.
They explain and so on. But as those what do you call it? Brain cells start to develop, you start to develop that kind of thing.
Right, you develop that understanding. But you still have the precondition based on your interactions with your parents. So it's the same thing with the long out tongue one. You think if one of the parents double down on that they'll probably do that again? Even if they wanted to, they'll be very afraid to do it. But nobody reprimanded that little one. So she did an action, there was no consequence. Ergo, that action is correct in their mind.
So that is encouraged.
Yeah, it's encouraged because nobody told her or punished her and constantly reminded her it is wrong.
And all it took was just one word. Three.
Don't do it.
Do that again.
Do that again. Words. And you see how you're so afraid. That shows you that she hasn't had a certain level of discipline in her rearing. Because a stranger shook her. A stranger shook her with discipline, and she was afraid of it. You think if she ever say, Leo, she's gonna try that again?
She found on herself.
Right.
More else nowadays in child, it's in child rearing is being broken down.
We definitely need to do like a video about the ideal psychological profile of parents. I don't want to say parent because I don't agree with single parents.
Ow!
Unless it's a case where. Is there abuse afoot?
Yes, it would be nice to have something about family structure.
No, man, we really should.
We have a breakdown of family structures nowadays.
In Jamaica, history is a very big part of it.
Yes.
And it's entire.
Well, everybody knows the issues, so
we know the issue now, but the problem with that and habits are kind of hard to break. Sad to say, because if you have an instance, because I had a discussion I think couple nights ago, when we're talking about like the Chinese, we call them like the Chinese merchant. When they literally come here to Jamaica, they buy our products and sell them back to us.
Yes.
One of the reasons why they do so well is because of their family system. It's not because of their money or even their mathematical ability. It's really because of their family structure. So you have a case where 3 different parents will give 3 different siblings, not siblings, like say cousins or whatever, say $30 million to create their own little mart or whatever. And then they have to create their own wealth while paying them back. And then after that, now you'll have a case where 2 separate and go on their own and build their own and that kind of thing. But we don't have that traditionally in our family structure. We don't have a tendency of leaving or giving a lot of things, particularly to our children. That's a big problem that we have. We don't give, like, I'm sad to say that black Jamaicans, we're some of the selfish, meanest, most self-centered persons probably in the Caribbean Islands. Honestly, it's amazing. Because you don't see you don't see this kind of thing with the Chinese, with the Indians, hell, even persons who are still of European descent here in Jamaica. They have a proper family structure. They understand that the entire unit benefits when everybody does well. So it's a case where you need a couple million to start a business, the family will fund you. You're gonna have to pay it back, but you'll get that. You'll get that capital to start off and do what you need to do. And because you have that family structure, you're gonna have not just the money, but you're gonna have the counseling, you're gonna have the advice, you're gonna have whatever connections your family may have collected over the years, that kind of thing.
And that is a powerful thing that can build the wealth, and that's ensure the wealth stays in the family.
Exactly.
A lot of Jamaicans don't understand that, There's this thing, and there's this wicked thing with them where a parent will say, you're not going to get this, not forgive them.
Exactly.
And then come back and say that the picture for mine number old age.
For the rest of your life. That is wickedness.
Don't worry. Most likely they did before me.
Yeah. I mean, you have a case where people constantly are killing their own family members over a partition of land.
Exactly.
So it even makes people more discouraged to be like, I'm not leaving anything for you people, you're just going to fight over it. That's a very bad culture.
Somebody who actually have that mindset right now.
Okay, see?
Yeah. And they're like, well, spend off my money instead of left any for some people while I it when me dead.
And I understand you want to enjoy your money. Fine, enjoy your money. But there's nothing wrong with leaving some for future generations. Because you...
Millions and millions for future generations.
Why not? Why not?
What's your money?
Again, why not?
What's your own money?
Like, we can be starting stone of generational wealth for our family. We can do that for them. Why not? You would have loved to benefit from something like that. Why not create something like that? Why not be the change that you wanted in your life? Even
if you can't live to enjoy it, be the starter.
Right? We want our children to live better lives than us. Why would you rob them of that because you don't want to leave them with nothing? Right? We criticize our forefathers, our ancestors for not leaving us with anything.
And we do the same
thing with them do.
Exactly.
Trust me, man, it's something that really pisses me off. I'm like,
it does me as well.
No, because
of
course you're good. Because you agree with them. Of course you're good. No, man, it is not conducive to proper. When you look at the social standing, right? The same persons who are, which is why you have a case where you have 1 or 2 generations that go up in high social standing for black Jamaicans, and then it goes right back down because nobody wants to leave anything. It's very rare for it to go over 3 generations. If it goes over, say, 3 more generations, it means that there's a family structure that has been left there that the descendants still adopt and follow to this day.
And it's so easy to do.
It's very easy.
You set up a financial system, the entire family benefits, no one can ruin it, and you teach them the principle. You teach them the principle of money and family, and then you teach them in such a way that they can teach their descendants. They're the only two things they need to do. Teach them how to build it, how to maintain it, and then teach their children how to maintain it. That's it.
And you just continue the process.
And nobody seems to understand that simple concept.
Like seriously, you can literally if you have an instant, like the same example that I use with the Chinese, where they literally they fund their children to start their own business, and then after that, each person goes about and expand, and that's basically what they're doing. They invest, they get their returns, and they expand and they repeat the process. That is what you should do.
Oh, I heard returns. Okay, now we're talking.
No, but that is literally what you should do. But it comes back to our problem that we have, especially with our own way of money management, where you have a Chinese person. I don't like this example, but it's true. You have a Chinese person. Let's say they make 100,000. They're not buying a thing from that, other than to maybe put back in the business, maybe buy some new goods or whatever. The moment, say, a Jamaican gets 100,000, they all of a sudden they need a new phone, they need a new shoes. Something must be spent, you know. Something must be bought. It's just a general example. But something must be bought. That is a problem. We
isn't the case that those expenses existed before they got the money?
That's what I'm saying. The things were always there before, but you didn't have a need for it because you didn't have the money. But now that you do, all of a sudden you need the phone, you need the new shoes. Hell, you might need a new car. But if you see how the Chinese manage their money, they buy cheap. They buy cheap, meaning that they actually pull their funds together, buy an entire container full worth of products, usually under one purchase order. So it's all of them together, getting at a really reasonable price and sell it back to us. And even once they make that amazing profit, they pump that like endorphins or dopamine back into the business system, and they regurgitate even more wealth over that period of time. They push. You know how often I see Chinese people, like all of them come to work in, say, one little vehicle or one little bus, and they don't even have any shoes. Some of them just have on little sandals. Maybe they have one old shoes. They try to make their lives, because that's the problem that we have. These are business people. Jamaicans have a problem is that they have a consumer mentality, but they want to still be business people. You can't be both at the same time. You can't be a capitalist and a consumer at the same time. You understand? You cannot want to consume more than what you're creating. It makes no sense. If you're a capitalist, your focus should be on creating and just multiplying your wealth through your business. That should be your main aim. Your aim should not be, as a capitalist, meaning to buy the fancy shoes, the fancy car, the shinier things. It doesn't make any sense, because the money just goes back to those corporations. What kind of vehicle do you think a man, the persons who own, say, a car company drives? Let me use a car company. Car retailers. They make a lot of money selling vehicles. But have you ever noticed some of the vehicles that they have that has the green plate, the DC plates? You ever noticed some of these vehicles?
Like the station have on them?
Yeah, some of these vehicles are very simple.
You mean the blue plates?
The blue plate. Sorry, I shouldn't say green plate. Green plate is for the business, right? The blue plate, the DC. Some of these vehicles these are persons who make a simple car purchase in a couple millions with ease, and they're fine. But the vehicles that they have as their means of just simple transportation are so simple. Which is why the adage goes, if you want to stay rich, pretend as if you're poor.
You're poor.
If you want to stay poor, live as if you're rich.
You know, it's funny that you actually use a car dealership as an example, because I know somebody who works at one selling cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nothing but every 6 months or so, you have a BMW. A new BMW. So I'm like, what are you doing with these cars? So we come to find out, then sell them too.
Mm-hmm.
But you probably sell them at a reduced rate. because they would be used because of him I drive them.
Yeah, man, they have mileage.
Yeah. So that's one little contradiction to your example, but I guess it doesn't apply to everybody.
Not everybody. And it wouldn't have to be a contradiction because, again, he has to sell it because the car is going to depreciate if he keeps it too long anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We have some very messed up parenting, and if we were to fix our family structure, I think that's one of the reasons why we have the issues that we have now when it comes down to crime and money. If we were to fix our family structure, I think we'd actually by default fix these two main problems. They wouldn't get rid of them completely, but you fix it by a good margin. Because a lot of the criminals come from, I won't say broken homes, but homes that didn't or could not do enough. So of course,
other criminals are young men, ages 13.
Younger than all of us. They're all younger than all of us, and they're more than likely going to die.
Family structure somewhere, somehow.
Right, somewhere, somehow. But again, if there was a proper family structure, it's very unlikely that they'll even fall in that kind of company or go down that path. Because usually the persons who go into criminality, they do it because some of them say, it's because of the necessity. They had to do it. It's a case where it's the only way that they saw to elevate themselves or provide for a family or business.
You can't use yourself as an example either.
Why can't I?
No.
Did I not come from a what?
Was
I not poor?
Not that. Not compared to them. Nobody can fancy something and say you were that poor compared to some of them. But not to the point. There are other persons that were worse off. Like we were talking about earlier, some people that food was at least consistent at your place growing up. You know, your papa never make yourself. You never stop.
Right, fine. At least no, so we have to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
The parents have seen them go to school. When they were still on the road.
Yeah, all that I wanted that topic where kind of annoy me to hell. The kids are on the road selling stuff to feed their parents, and these are not like disabled parents. These are able-bodied parents.
Okay, fine. I understand. I can't use
Alright. Well, I believe we strayed from corporal punishment far enough.
Not really.
At the end of the day, be separate me.
No.
That was a 360.
That was a 180.
I like to say devil's advocate.
No, if it was 360, she'll come back to the same place she was. That was a 180. She did a reverse.
I did say, remember, from the day when I was saying beat your child, but anyway, that's not the point.
You know, you're a very confusing individual sometimes, I swear.
No, when he first came on, I was like, beat your child. But
she was pushing so hard.
I'm married to her.
Hold on, let's see. Everybody was already on the beat your child bandwagon, so of course I decided to go on.
So you played devil's advocate?
Yes.
That's why your argument was so weak.
That's bad.
You had a weak argument.
That's bad, though.
Listen,
if
there are other ways, and I've heard other ways, and we've used other ways. Okay, tell me if you didn't put me in
we'll finish.
But
normally, if you didn't really believe in something, they'd have a bunch of different arguments. I was wondering why your argument is so weak.
So it explains a lot, no.
I believe that you don't have to use corporal punishment. And to somebody who...
So I'm sorry, didn't you just say beat a child?
Yes, beat a child, but I'm saying that there are other ways.
So that
Shut up. I'm saying there are other ways.
Woman, stop spinning.
It don't work for everybody, because you have picnic, what not, you can beat them to the kingdom come, then Tobana will still turn out bad, and you have children that you definitely need to beat.
All right.
You threaten them like Michael, Jacob, J.K. Black. Why you just have to beat one poster and straighten up himself.
Okay, after all that, I still don't know where she stands. So I'm just gonna assume that she's on the fence with this one, cause yeah, she's on the fence, cause she not really depend completely on either. So wow, that's interesting. That was a 180, then a 360, then.
If you have a different way, then you do a different way. So what works for your child? That each child is an individual. Is not everything work for everybody.
Yeah. For me, I'd say I'm on the fence too because of my experiences growing up with getting beaten, especially being beaten by someone who's not my parent. I would say I'm against it because it always seems to be more aggressive when it's not your parents. Sometimes my friends say parents, they might beat you, but them feel sorry for you at the same time, so them kind of soft with it.
Where was this when I was growing up?
I was going to ask the same thing. Sorry for me.
No, sir. Where was this when I was growing up?
So I'm rather for the parents that do it, but at the same time, it's because you know, say my reflexes fast and I want to slap somebody.
Okay.
I feel like somebody think them are going to get beaten.
So,
and then now tell them to wait till them father come home either. They must fear both of us equally.
Okay. I can agree with you on that one.
Americans beat out of rage, and I don't think that's the right way to discipline your child when you're in a range.
Alright, so we might need to cut this part, but I have an interesting story when I was a teenager.
Alright,
so
future me, cut this out.
When I was a teenager, I don't remember what I did firstly, but my mother was going to hit me, or she was going to use her umbrella to hit me, right? You know the old time strong umbrella was metal in it, was sturdy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for her, I started both martial arts and Kenny.
So you blocked that shit.
2 years prior. So I was
ready.
I was jacked. So when she hit me with the umbrella twisted on my shoulder and bent up. And my mother looked on me. I looked on the umbrella. And I started laugh. And then she was like, she got angry because it was her best umbrella, so she hit me again with it. Or she said, twist up again. From that day on, she stopped beat me. It never made nothing.
An expression that you're superhuman, but yes, typically other children, it just doesn't make sense to me.
No, but once you reach a certain age, I mean, you can't really do physical harm to your child.
Again, you have children even young in primary school who just blow off the beating and take the beating, take a 10 minutes, sit, blow off, and then go about their business again, and I mean nothing to them.
No, them get too much beaten. So them in numb, they're numb to it because them get beaten for literally nothing at all.
Exactly. So we're going back in circles.
Yes.
Like it wouldn't have reached that way if you were raising your child or setting some moral standards for the child
the start.
from the get go. So we're just running back in circles now with this.
The key thing, there must be reason behind discipline. It shouldn't be out of anger. And it shouldn't just be willingness. There should be a reason behind it. Meaning that you don't want the action that for the child that they did, you don't want that to be a reoccurrence. That's the point. Yeah. So don't beat just because you're the parent. You should discipline your child physically as a reminder so that when they flash back, they're like, I'm not going to do that again. Because it's similarly how I played with, I don't know if I think I told Danny this story. I remember setting my bed on fire one time when I was a child.
Wait, what?
And yeah, man.
I never heard this story.
I never told this one.
Nope.
I tell about the one where I filled up the tub, and this is like a concrete out tub back at my home. So I filled that up. So I messed with both water and fire, in both instances.
Nope.
Nope, never again. No, I did. Huh? Water.
And do what?
You have to understand, this thing was like say 4 feet tall. So it's a very deep cutout kind of thing.
No, it deserves me for that one day.
Yeah, but I'd never miss. I never did that again. I never did that again.
Where did you go inside it?
What, the fire or the water?
Yeah, the water.
No, I went inside the water.
I can agree
But I wasted a lot of water.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and my bright ass. So yeah.
Wait, what kind of petty crimes?
It's just me a big fire that is ever good amount of eating.
It's true, but I mean, if they rob a bank and get away with this, I mean, it's probably for each other.
Yeah, Carly, that fit me there. And say about the picnic, and you not go juvie and you are going.
Why me I go prison?
You are going prison as an accomplice.
How am I
accomplice?
I didn't encourage it. I mean, if you already steal the money, what we're gonna do? Turn our child in.
So yes, accomplice.
Okay.
So what happened when you set the bed on fire now?
It's only the bottom part got burnt, luckily. So, between me and my mom, we basically got it out. So it's only like the, what do you call it now? That little fabric section right before the board.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part that got burnt off, like completely clean off, burnt off. So we kind of caught it quickly.
What were you thinking in your right mind? She said, "Oh, I'm going to burn the bed today."
If I recall, I was looking for something, and then my rational mind is like, "Oh, my bed bottom is dark. There's a lighter in the house. Fire equals light. Okay, let's try that." So I light that under my bed, and then it caught. I'm like, "Oh shit." Trust me, I was very curious as a child. I tried some very weird things as a child. I was very curious.
Listen to the story. I'm trying to imagine a young lighted and massive and a bit
No, lighter is a lighter.
You know the funny thing? I've always wanted to set a bed on fire.
Why?
Never
I'm feed you already. I don't care if you're hungry. You're on your own.
I never got none.
I don't give a lot. Funny.
Wait, Danny, why do you want to set the bed on fire again?
Danny, back to you. Why you want
Danny, why you set the bed on fire? Yeah.
Oh. It was just an interesting thing to want to do.
You know, let's flash back to a previous recording where Leo literally said he would literally sit back and watch Danny set a village on fire. And look where we are now. She wanted to set a bed on fire. Coincidence? I think not.
Science would just say, we just harvest them and then sperm, keep them and just destroy all them and then. But then realize that there's a 50% chance that the picnic will have a enough as male, and it doesn't make no sense that we kill off the male picnic them too, so we keep them around. That was my ideal kind of.
Like, what the hell did I marry into?
Keep your eyes open tonight, lad. That's all I'm saying to you. Don't sleep tonight.
You've been talking like this for years, though.
Thank you, Danny.
Why did you get married then?
I'm like, I could have married an accountant. No, I'm a psychopath.